We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. I am joined by the man that hates Louisiana, Mr. White Chocolate himself.
What kind of an introduction is it? So I get the white chocolate, I get the man who hates Louisiana. You're just setting me up for failure these days, Blake. What do we do?
You know I got a joke.
I know.
But I did hear from a little birdie that you tell the ladies to call me White Chocolate. I'm just telling you what I can report.
I would hope to God that I'm not doing that. Because no girl would ever talk to me in their lives if I refer to myself as that. You should hope that I don't do that.
Very true. But look, and all joking aside, we have a massive, massive day. Okay. Look, I woke up this morning. Well, let me say this. Tuesday on my show, I said, listen, Saturday morning or Friday night, news is going to break on who Auburn's next head coach was. And this morning we got some news. Ross Dellinger and Pete Thamel. They're in what we like to call in the business a source off. Okay, I love these situations. We'll talk about that. It's going to be really interesting, but we do have a lot we got to get to today. It's rivalry week, Joe. Notre Dame, USC, just at teams outside of the SEC. USC, Notre Dame. You got Ohio State, Michigan here at 11. All of this meaning playoffs. We'll get to those, but obviously we have the SEC. Our good producer Pooh here brought this up. Look. Tennessee, Vandy, Texas A&M, LSU, which I don't know if you'll really necessarily call that a rivalry.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, Auburn, and Alabama. We saw Florida and Florida State last night. We saw the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving. We also saw Missouri and Arkansas, but the big one or at least today, is South Carolina and Clemson as well. So, Joe, we got a massive slate of games. Very quickly before we get to this Auburn news, I mean, man, it's probably one of the biggest weeks that we've had in a while as college football in general.
Yeah, timing of not only the past couple of days, every game feels like it's been a banger. Like that Arizona State game was so good that the mascots were beating the shit out of each other on the sideline. Like we're in a really
I know.
Fantastic. But like we're at this competitive point where because a lot of these teams hate each other, they're all really competitive games. And then on top of that, we've got news breaking on all these coaches. I'm excited. I'm also really excited, Blake. I'm going to be at the Notre Dame USC game later today. I'm going to be on the sideline, actually. So I'm going to be excited to get to see that game. Come on. I can't.
Well, that's honestly, that's pretty awesome.
I'm juiced up.
Yeah.
A friend of mine hooked me up.
Well, and here's the thing, too. I don't know if so I may or may not be involved in a lot of these people ask me my opinion on them about a lot of them. So I'm just going to leave it there. I did have somebody reliable around the Heisman Trophy that said if Caleb Williams wins today and tomorrow, he's going to win it. Or today and next week, he's going to win it, which is so wild. Okay.
Well, he should. He should be.
But see, Joe, here's the thing. 2 weeks ago, me and you came on in here and said it's between Hendon Hooker, or 3 weeks ago, it's between Hendon Hooker and it's between Bryce Young. And so for that reason alone, it doesn't matter what you do. As Brian Kelly, the great coach, the Notre Dame GOAT, okay. I couldn't help it.
Yes.
October is for pretenders. November is for contenders. Okay. And so I think that, look, if he wins today, he's going to put it up there. But that's massive for you, buddy, that you're going to be on the sideline. How have you ever been on the sideline? Because you're a Notre Dame guy. Have you been on the sideline?
Not for those games. I mean, I've obviously been on the sideline for games that I've played in. And, it's a lot of similarities to what I'm doing today, where I was spectating for most of the game when I was long snapping in college. But I will say, coolest sideline I've ever been on, the Virginia Tech sideline. That whole run out with the Enter Sandman on the field.
Yeah, Blacksburg is insane.
Yeah.
We do need to say this because I don't think that you and I mentioned this last time. Listen, the Virginia football players, that game was canceled this week, Virginia Tech, Virginia. Mike Hollins is a guy from University High here in Baton Rouge, one of the victims that was shot. And, I mean, he's making a very good recovery. He's walking again. The senselessness behind something like that, like, Joe, I don't know how you feel, and I'm not going to spend much time on this. I wanted to punch old boy in the face. Like, I just, it's senseless.
Right.
It's absolutely senseless. So our prayers and thoughts to the families and to Mike Collins as well, who's making a speedy recovery. Thank the good Lord that he's walking in. All right, Joe, we do got to get to this. Pooh Bear says he's ready. Okay, if you're just missing it, I got a soundbite for this. You ready?
Uh-oh. Love that drop.
That's a long soundbite. Sources. Auburn, this is from Pete Thamel. If you're listening to us on podcast, radio, wherever you're listening, Pete Thamel says, sources, Auburn has been in discussions with Hugh Freeze for weeks of him becoming Auburn's next head coach. They won't make a formal offer, however, until the Iron Bowl. But they informally have discussed contract and numbers with him for more than a week. What's interesting about that is that Ross Dellinger, with all due respect to Pete Thamel, is saying something different. Pooh, do we have the Ross Dellinger tweet? Okay. Ross Dellinger, though, Joe, is saying that it's come down to two candidates, and that being Lane Kiffin and that being Hugh Freeze. I'm going to side with Pete on this one, but regardless, a massive hire to go and get Hugh Freeze from Liberty. That's why I try to tell people a couple of weeks ago when he signed that contract extension with Liberty, that don't mean shit. Okay. Auburn will pay that buyout. That meant nothing. And we don't even know if you signed that extension. He just might have gotten an extension. So what's your instant reaction to Hugh Freeze possibly being the next head coach at Auburn?
Yeah, I actually, for the sake of parity in the SEC, just in general, I'm glad that we've got Hugh going to Auburn, and I really like that Lane Kiffin is staying at Ole Miss. I thought that just a personality connection, the vibe there, Lane and Ole Miss, to me just made so much sense. And I loved him being there. I know that the past couple of games haven't exactly gone his way, but to me, he's the guy to right the ship and turn it around. I know a lot of people believe that Kiffin was somebody who needed to be in a different situation to win a national championship because he can't necessarily do it as easily at Ole Miss as he can at Auburn. But I love Hugh Freeze. I think Hugh Freeze, because of the nonsense that he got himself into at Ole Miss, is what kept him out for so long. But as we've seen, he's made Liberty, which is a decent previously FCS program over the past couple of years. He's turned them into a competitive independent team. And I think that really shows of how good of a coach he is. It seems like all the guys are bought in. He knows how to develop talent. I think Malik Willis is a really good example of that. And there's been a number of other guys that have had shots to potentially play in the NFL and have gotten drafted, a number of players. So I think this is a perfect fit. I think this is a great guy. Maybe not the number one candidate because a lot of people would have picked Lane, but there's no wrong answer here. I think Hugh Freeze is a great coach.
Hugh Freeze is a no-brainer if he wouldn't have been caught with hookers and a cell phone. Okay, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Here's the biggest thing for me. Okay. Both guys have obviously Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss, and so was obviously Lane being there right now. He beat Alabama twice and with two of their best teams that they've ever had at Alabama. Okay, especially defensively. Lane is not as just follow me here. Lane is not as accomplished as a head coach as Hugh Freeze is. The reason I say that is because Lane is 7-21 against top 25 opponents. Okay? He's not even remotely close to being 500, much less being above 500 and against top 25 opponents. Be honest, Lane kind of chokes. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And so for that reason alone, Hugh does not. I think it's a great hire for multiple reasons. Number one, I know Hugh well enough because, as our listeners at AYS knows, about a year and a half ago, me and Hugh Freeze got into a DM dispute. Me and him went back and forth at it pretty heavily. Okay. Regardless of me and him going back and forth at it, regardless, and this had everything to do with what happened at Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze is a hell of a football coach. If he can stay out of trouble, he is a problem. He is an absolute problem. He is the best coaching hire, in my opinion, at Auburn. Since I don't know when. Now, obviously, we don't know if it's completely final, and Ross Dellinger still saying it might be Lane Kiffin. I think Lane's out of this equation, don't you?
Yeah, and it just the way that he was acting and reacting to some of the news this week, I think was a little bit of a hint. And then there was that one deleted tweet where he was clearly frustrated, where he was basically saying like, "You keep changing the story. What's the answer here?" And he ended up deleting that. But I felt like the signs were pointing it to be somebody else. I didn't know off the top of my head that it was going to be Hugh Freeze. But again, to your point, if it wasn't for the stupid actions that he made, like he has no real marks on his resume for quality of coaching.
Not.
His recruiting was fantastic. The 5-star recruits that he got to come to Ole Miss is unprecedented. Those types of guys in those kinds of classes.
That's a little bit of why he got in trouble, though. I mean,
well, now it's legal, except the stripper stuff, the NIL paying guys bills, whatever it is.
Is it?
Well, no one's checking anymore.
I make a joke. Is it? Who's saying that Playboy can't sponsor a kid in NIL?
Oh, you quite literally mean Playboy. It's a good point. It's a good question. There's no restrictions. There
is no restrictions on it.
Yeah.
The only thing that NIL gave college football or the Supreme Court gave college football and the stupid Mark Emmert 2 guidelines. You can't promote gambling, and you can't embezzle money and commit tax fraud.
Yeah.
They didn't. Now, Greg Sankey would blow up Auburn if Playboy sponsored Hugh Freeze.
Or like a local strip club or something like that.
Correct. Because look, you and I both know that that's not going to happen. But my point is, they're not going to be looking at him as much as it's not as unprecedented now, like you mentioned. If Laquan Treadwell, who was the main guy behind all of it, if he goes to Auburn without ever taking a visit, well, shit, what happened? He got a massive NIL deal. Like it's not illegal anymore. So Hugh Freeze having $10 to $13 million of NIL money at Auburn to play with is a problem. LSU fans are going to rip me alive on this one. He's a problem. He is probably. Listen, if there's tiers to this, the 4 biggest coaches to worry about in the SEC right now: Brian Kelly, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, and Hugh Freeze.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's in that tier. You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, like, to even further the whole point here of why he makes so much sense, like he's one of the very recent reasons why NIL became what it is. Like he was essentially one of the fathers of NIL of recent times, where he's going to know how to do it the best. He's going to know how to kick ass while doing this. And to your point of the amount of money that he has to work with is way more than the rest of the teams in the SEC, other than the 4 that you just named ahead of him. So I would be worried. I would legitimately be worried because, again, he is a guy that has a really good coaching prowess. I absolutely trust him to, produce really good results in the field. But again, the recruiting aspect of things is where I would be the most worried.
Yeah, and I will tell you, if I'm Nick Saban, I'm getting Saban. Though, let me say this: a lion never worries about a sheep. I don't think that Nick Saban worries about anybody. Okay, but you're always cognizant of who is coming at you. Hugh Freeze will recruit heavily inside that state. Okay. And I think that there may be 1 or 2 guys inside the state of Alabama that he's able to flip that would have normally gone to Alabama, to Auburn. I will say this: LSU had a commitment flip from LSU to Auburn. Darren Reed, a defensive lineman. This happened yesterday. Okay. I started making some phone calls, and I was like, well, the kid's not going to go if it's Lane Kiffin. Lane would have never reached out to the kid. Okay. But I was told that some of the recruits have been told that they have their guy, and it's starting to freeze out here. Okay. So to that reason alone, I do think that they feel like this deal's done. Okay. Now, is it not? I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. That's not the only coaching hire, though, in college football as a head coach. Matt Rule just got announced to, literally, as we're talking right now, Nebraska made it official. They are hiring Matt Rule as their next head coach. I will let you take the floor on him first, because I'm about to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay, like I don't like this at all. But what's your thoughts?
I was in the same boat as you, where I didn't think that this made a lot of sense, because very rarely do guys who leave the NFL after getting fired get opportunities like this. One could argue that Nebraska is no longer as good of a program and as good of a brand as it used to be in the early 90s to the 2000s, even way before that, when they were winning national championships and producing really fantastic offensive players, Heisman Trophy winners. But besides that, like, I think this is like a C+ hire. I know that Rule's a good coach and he fits with what they're doing, but I still don't think Nebraska's as good as everyone chalks them up to be. I think there's so many other programs in other conferences that have ascended and worked past Nebraska. I think it's really hard, really, really hard. And I don't know if Matt Rule has the recruiting prowess to even accomplish this, but to get guys to come and play in Lincoln, Nebraska is a very difficult task. It's not like it's Wisconsin that has got a great college town, or Ohio State or Michigan. I don't know what you feel on that, but I feel the brand itself is not very attractive, and it's just such a C+, get the job done, big name hire.
All right. Well, Ben's here, so I don't want to say exactly what I want to say with him in the room. Close the door, buddy. Close the door. Love you. Love you. Okay. That's my son, Benjamin. Joe, you're spot on. Okay. Matt Rule, I don't understand the Matt Rule hype. Okay. I really don't. I mean, I get that he rebuilt Temple. I get that he rebuilt Baylor. Okay. He still was not, I mean, he still has been below 500 or damn near right at 500 at every stop that he's been. At Carolina, he was below 500, obviously. I don't understand how Nebraska feels like they can go and get Matt Rule. And I guess they feel as if, well, he turned everybody else around. Can he turn us around? Maybe he can. But in reference to sustaining, okay, he's never sustained a program for longer than 4 years. Never.
Well, he's usually jumped ship.
He jumped ship. And I don't know how much. I don't know how much he's going to want to be in the facilities at 11:30 a.m. when Tepper in Carolina is paying him $34 million not to coach. It worries me for Nebraska, and honestly, it's the most Nebraska move of all time. They could have legitimately hired anybody in college football, and not anybody, but of the people that were out there. You could have made a very massive push for Hugh Freeze.
Or Lance Leipold.
At Kansas. I don't think so people that know, the show that I go on Wednesday mornings, Lance Leipold told them, you're a dumpster fire. Okay. He did not want anything to do with it. And so, long story, Lance is not Leipold is not the dude that's just gonna, jump ship. It's got to be a right fit. Why? He thought Kansas was a right fit because he had recruited that area for years on years on years on years. Okay. I don't like Matt Rule in Nebraska. I don't think it's going to work, Joe. I don't.
So a lot of the points that you said, I think I agree with what you said. And I said this during the beginning of this search and when Matt Rule was fired. And one of the points that I had is he would have fit better at like an Arizona State or a Colorado, which is a Power 5 program, that he can be there for a couple of years. He can rebuild them, help them get, slightly above 500, playing some bowl games, and then he can jump ship when he's a little more focused. I just don't like this immediate jump from the NFL to a bigger brand. And heck, this Nebraska job is a better job than the last two jobs that he held. So it's like, how do you fail upward? That's what doesn't make any sense to me. I also wouldn't be enticed to hire a guy who his most recent success is losing records at an NFL team. I don't understand what we're really going off of here for him to be a successful coach. I do get what he did at Baylor and what he did at Temple in difficult times is commendable, especially him taking over that Baylor job after the whole Art Briles situation, the sexual misconduct situation, and everything that went on down there. That's a mess to fix. It's a much bigger mess than the one that he's inheriting at Nebraska. But this is a completely different situation. And for him to get a bigger job makes no sense to me, exactly like what you're saying.
Well, Chris Lee says that Matt Rule is good. Will do good. He will start off slow. He's going to have Nebraska in a Big Ten championship game. No, he won't. Okay, because I mean, they're in the same division as Ohio State, correct? If I'm not mistaken, they're in the East, correct? Am I
misspeaking that they're also one of those conferences that's trying to switch to a single division?
So, yeah, they're like, and Greg Sankey talked about this too. They're getting rid of divisions. They're not going to be one of the 2 top teams in the Big 12 or Big 10,
Unless Harbaugh retires abruptly.
Well, and really and truthfully, I know Mel Tucker's in the news. Okay. I know they still got really good. Here's another thing. I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't think he can beat Lincoln at USC. People forget they're going to the Big Ten. Okay. They're not
Chip for that matter. I don't think he beats. I don't see him as a Chip's already been there for plenty of time. He's developed that roster. It's perfectly built for what he needs to do. There is way too much competition. And again, no kid wants to go sit in Lincoln, Nebraska. No one wants to go do that.
I'm with you. So as much as we have coaching news this morning, Auburn. So this is what, to me, Joe, and everybody gets mad at me, especially at Believe, especially you. When I get on this SEC rant, this is what separates the SEC from every other every other freaking division. And I'm passionate about this. Auburn hired Hugh Freeze while the Big Ten got Matt Rule. It's a difference. You know it, and I know it. It's a massive difference.
I don't know if it's
You know, and I know that Hugh Freeze to Auburn is a bigger thing than Matt Rule to Nebraska. Come on now.
I agree that it is. I agree, and we just even talked about this. I agree that Freeze is a better hire than the Matt Rule one, but I don't know if it's like drastically bigger. Like there's still some questions that need to be answered with Hugh. You know, it's not like a foregone conclusion that he steps in and there's immediate success. I mean, both of them do have track records of leading and developing other programs. So I'm not saying that it's like a D to an A. I think it's like a C+ to a B+. Like it's not like
an A-.
I think you're just a hair a little bit more optimistic about Hugh Freeze than I am. I'm optimistic.
If Gus Malzahn can win at Auburn and beat Bama, Hugh Freeze can too.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, Malzahn.
Now here's the question. Now you're gonna get really mad. Can he beat Brian Kelly? Is another question. Can he go? Can he go? So here's my thing. Can Hugh go through Brian Kelly? Because look, Auburn is the toughest place to coach in the country. I will bank that on, because in a given week, this is what Auburn had to face in giving weeks. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Or within a 6 to 7 week span, they had to play LSU. Okay, whether you like A&M or not is fine. They had to play A&M. They had to play Georgia. They got to play Bama today. That in and of itself is probably the toughest stretch in the country. Would you agree with that? Their two biggest rivals is Alabama and Georgia. That is the toughest schedule in the country. They should be number one every single year. And then they still have seasons in the beginning of the year that they're going out to play Clemson. Joe, they had a year where they went out and played Clemson, and then in the following weeks played Georgia in the middle of the season and Alabama at the year, and made it to the SEC championship game.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, a very, very difficult job. And I think one of the points that you just brought up is that who in the SEC now takes a hit in recruiting, because that to me is where more of the foregone conclusion is that Hugh's going to step in and really seriously disrupt the recruiting landscape. Like, it's not like what was going on under Harsin was what allowed, I think, other teams in the conference like Georgia, like Alabama, like LSU to even prop up and rise up with the amount of recruits that they were able to get. They weren't having the typical competition that they were getting from a good Auburn or even a decent Auburn team. They were recruiting at a poverty level at the bottom of the conference. So if they get back up to that top of the conference, somebody's going to have a significant drop off. And it's like, who is it going to be? Is it because Alabama, because Saban retires? Is it Brian Kelly? Does he take a hit? It's something to legitimately be worried about. And again, I am more worried about what we were talking about earlier. I'm more worried about Hugh Freeze recruiting than I am Lane Kiffin recruiting. Like, Lane's great, and he does a great job in the portal. We saw all those guys he went and got, and he did a great job this year for what he could do at Ole Miss. But those results that he produced at Ole Miss aren't even comparable to those 5-star classes that Hugh Freeze got in his time at Ole Miss.
Agreed. Get to a couple comments. We do got to get to some of these games. Chris Lee says Gus Malzahn has been to a national title. Yes, at Auburn. Okay, both times is affiliated with Auburn. Mm-hmm. He says Hugh Freeze never won 10 games at Ole Miss. Fair, but he also beat Bama when they went and won a national title. So again, Ole Miss is a different thing than going to win it at Bama. Semper says Nebraska will stomp USC in a few years. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
They're so behind on recruiting. The amount of top recruits, especially on the West Coast, that USC is claiming, they're going to go back to dominating West Coast recruiting.
I agree with that.
There's no one in the Midwest that wants to go to Nebraska. They're all going to Michigan and Ohio State and Notre Dame for that matter.
Right. I agree with. So, for example, and I'm always going to bring an LSU tie to this. Trey Palmer was Nebraska's best receiver, and there's a lot of LSU fans in here. I forget what he went yesterday. I think he had 9 catches, 189 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Brother, he was the number 4 receiver at LSU. Okay, to give an example. Now, so my point is that there's levels to this. There's massive levels to this, and I don't buy the Matt Rule. I would take Hugh Freeze over Matt Rule any given day. Okay, Joe, we do have a little bit of time, I think. We'll see. But we do have some massive games today. I'm going to start off with a game that you might not want to talk about. Now, we didn't talk about Vandy last week on this show because we were like, oh, my God, Florida's going to curb stomp Vandy. Well, they didn't. And Vandy is on the track to become bowl eligible. They're playing Tennessee today. There's no Hendon Hooker. It's Joe Milton. I still think Tennessee's going to win, unfortunately, for the Vandy fans. But man, do you know how crazy it would be if Vandy pulled off an upset today?
It would, I think, be the true epitome of what rivalry week represents and what we've already seen, that we can have something like this. And this is the best we've ever seen Vanderbilt in like the last 10 years. The last I can think of when they were this competitive was when James Franklin was there, and then also when Jay Cutler was there. It's hard to win at Vanderbilt. But at the same time, as mediocre as Joe Milton is, I got a lot of faith that they're going to win this football game. Like the separation in the quality of athletes is drastic. What they did against Florida, like, it's commendable, but like Florida's got a lot of issues and they got a lot of problems on the roster that need to be fixed. And it was a lot of program disarray that Billy Napier inherited that he's been trying to fix. And that was like perfect timing for them to do what they did. But Tennessee might have lost to South Carolina last week. They might have just lost their starting quarterback, but it would take a colossal F up for them to lose to Vanderbilt.
You mean like last week against South Carolina? Now,
I know.
Now listen,
yeah.
I don't know how to put this. There was a week ago today on this show, there was a 6'2 and a quarter, 6'2 and a half, about 290-pound human being that came on this show and said, everybody's shitting on Spencer Rattler, but they lead the country in drops. South Carolina, and we can transition to South Carolina and Clemson. Joe, there's 3 things, and look, like Jane Daniels went through this, Bryce Young's going through this at Alabama right now. if your receivers catch the ball, it makes you look that much more dangerous. They didn't have a drop. And the truth was, he's been doing a lot of this all season long. This time, the passes got completed instead of falling to the turf. I'm interested to find out what Vandy and Tennessee happens, because I think Mike Wright, when he gets outside, and that defense is really bad at Tennessee, and I hear that there's some locker room turmoil. Bill King from the Bill King Show reported it this week that Hendon Hooker and one of the defensive players got into a dispute over NIL money inside the locker room. Now, he reported that this week. How focused is Tennessee this week coming up? Like, apparently, like, punches thrown. Some people have reported.
Why are you swinging on a guy who's got in a leg brace?
This was before he tore his ACL. This was the week of South Carolina. Like,
oh my God.
Even a torn ACL, Hendon Hooker could probably, uppercut somebody into the shadow rim. The transition, though, into South Carolina and Clemson. I be honest, I'm going to take Clemson here. I don't see the upset. I think Clemson knows that they got something to play for, and I think Dabo's still a really good coach. I get shit on and poo-pooed on so much for saying Dabo's not overrated. Either he's going to prove me right today or he's going to prove me wrong. But, Joe, if they go 2 seasons, back-to-back, or the last 3 seasons, and he only has 4 losses, like, I don't give a damn what conference he's in, because USC, and we'll get to USC in a minute, they played Colorado. There's not a team on Clemson's schedule in the P5 that's as bad as Colorado. I don't want to hear it. So with that being said, I think Clemson rolls today, brother. I think that they roll today. Just my opinion.
I do believe that Clemson wins this game, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Like, I feel that South Carolina, they're riding off of a lot of energy from that Tennessee game. And again, it's rivalry week. So if you've got a little momentum, you've got a little juice, you're going to come out swinging in a game like this against a program that you absolutely hate. And the thing with Clemson, I have sat on this show and I've sat on my show so many times and screamed about how overrated I believe Clemson is. I have legitimate concerns about their offense, but where this game is going to get not out of hand, but where Clemson has the advantage is along the line of scrimmage and with their defensive linemen and their linebackers. There is such a significant mismatch where even if Spencer Rattler does have another really good game, and he's not going to completely replicate a 6-touchdown performance, but say he has, 3/4 of that game and he plays out of his mind again, even if he does so, he's still going to take a lot of contact. He's still going to get sacked a bunch. It's a really, really hard situation for them to deal with.
I do got to give him this. Our producer, Pooh Bear, says, I just wanted to be known a certain producer called Vandy 6 Williams in preseason. I got to give him that. He did. I just think Clemson's too much for him up front. We'll see here. Here's something that's interesting, and I don't think Dabo is going to do it yet. You got to stop letting DJ be your quarterback. If you want to be a serious team, you got to put in Klubnik, okay?
But how much better are you with a true freshman quarterback? Like, you're trying to, they're not going to, but you're trying to make the playoff. So it's is he going to really do a good job in a difficult situation?
Well, 8 of his 12 drives have been scoring drives.
Well, he also threw a pick 6 on another one when he stepped into the Notre Dame game. It's just, I think a lot of that freshmanness is still in him.
True. But what's your excuse for DJ then?
Well, there's no excuse for DJ, but
my point is, who's more talented?
DJ technically, I think, is equally as talented as him, but in terms of like actualizing it, DJ is the most shaken up in terms of his confidence, and he's not playing up to his capabilities. But I think that's what's holding him back. That's what's holding him back right now is the play calling, and then not to mention the fact that he's in his own head right now.
That's fair. I just think I don't think I don't think he's as polished as Klubnik, especially as throwing the football. I don't. That's just me. All right, I'm going to get to a couple of these comments, Joe, before we continue to move on to these games. I do want to switch from the SEC for a second. I do want to get to USC Notre Dame when we get out of this. Larry says, "Go Rowe," or Jeff Rowe Texas recruiting is not Nebraska. I don't really know what that means. John says Rule to me is a great hire for a team like Nebraska. He did a great job at Temple and with Baylor. He does great at average college and makes them competitive. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, is that all you're looking for, is to become a bowl team? Is that, if that's what they're going for, I mean, that's a heck of a hire. But if they're trying to compete for a national championship, that's not the guy.
Yeah, no. So here's my thing, Joe. Is Nebraska still a blue blood? And what is the definition of a blue blood?
It's any of the top, let's say, 20 programs that if they're at their full peak, that they're capable of winning a national championship.
Okay.
And I don't think Nebraska is.
Okay, so I'll be honest. I thought a blue blood, from the definition, okay, from what everybody gives me, is that the teams in the past have won the most. And I'm like, being a blue blood doesn't mean crap when you kick the ball off. Like, you're not running down on special teams and saying, we're blue bloods. You're not doing that, okay? So that's just my thought on that. I agree with you. I think that there's 20 better programs in the country better than Nebraska at full tilt. My opinion.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think I can name. I honestly think there's probably, 7 to 8 in the SEC. Okay, like if they're on full tilt, they could beat Nebraska. Probably 4 or 5 in the Pac, and then 4 or 5 in the ACC. I mean, because look, Florida State's a 9-win team. Florida State, at full tilt, and we saw that game last night, which, we'll see. All right, let's transition outside the SEC, and then because I do want to, we got a lot of games we're going to cover. I still want to get to Ohio State, and I want to get to Michigan. How ironic would it be if USC got beat by Notre Dame to help LSU's playoff chances? I'm going there.
See, here's the only thing. It would be incredibly ironic, and I had said it before when we were doing this show, but I just don't think it's very likely.
You don't think Notre Dame can beat USC?
No, and the thing I keep saying or seeing, in any Notre Dame fans who I don't know who might be checking me right now, but I keep seeing a lot of people mentioning like, oh, Notre Dame's the far more physical team. They're going to dominate them. They are. They absolutely are. And they have a way better run game in Audric Estime and the rest of the Logan Diggs, all those running backs, Chris Tyree. They've been running down opponents' throats. They've been doing it with with such aggression. And it's worked. They're in such a rhythm right now where they don't need to really rely on Drew Pine to do much else. But my concerns come is that if they need to actually be in some sort of a shootout, they're toast. They can't keep up to the same level of speed that USC has. They can score in an instant. We saw them do it against UCLA. And this isn't like the Georgia-Tennessee game where when we talked about it, and I had said that, Georgia's going to control the line of scrimmage. They're going to control the tempo, all that stuff. I don't think that Notre Dame's as equipped at all. Stetson Bennett's way better than Drew Pine.
Well, I agree with that. Here would be my only thing. Do you think Notre Dame's the best team USC's played all year?
That USC's played all year?
Yeah.
No, because I believe that Utah. No, actually, I completely disagree with that. I think UCLA and Utah, not by like a significant margin, but are better than them.
I'm not a Utah believer. I'm just not. When you go down to Gainesville after what we've seen in Florida and get your cheeks clapped for 60 minutes, I still think that's a problem. I think in this game, and we'll get to Will Vandervort next. Here's my thing. I don't know if USC, everybody's got a plan until you get popped in the face. And as much crap as I've given Notre Dame, okay, over the last couple of weeks, and with losing to Marshall and all of that, you can win the game if you're keeping the ball away from Caleb Williams. If you line up and you keep doing what you're doing offensively and running it down their throat, they're going to be pressured. You know who else did that same exact thing against USC? Utah. There are 2 teams that USC has played this season. They'll play one today that have a same type of identity, not game plan, but just identity of a team. Utah and Notre Dame like to be physical up front and run it down your throat. the only other team that USC has played that remotely does something like that is Oregon State. But they struggle with physical teams up front. And so for that reason alone, I don't know if USC is going to lose. I'm not saying that they're going to lose. What I'm saying is that we have 2 games where USC has gone up against really physical offensive lines and gotten checked. It's the only thing that I'm saying. All right, let's get to our first break. Will Vandervort is going to be joining us next. Let's talk, though, about our good friends over at betonline.ag and our good friends over at GM Vardo & Sons, gmvardosons.com. Guys, we'll return in 1 minute. Let's talk some more SEC football, South Carolina and Clemson next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Vardo & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Vardo & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, we are joined here by our good friend Will Vandervort, who covers Clemson. He does believe in Clemson podcast. Will, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Doing good. Sounds like you're getting ready for the game, my man. Sounds like you're getting ready to roll.
Yeah, they got it rolling here up in Clemson. They're getting ready for this game. They do a good job with the music here. Pretty good playlist, if you will, for Clemson as they get ready for this game each and every week when they play them.
All right, we know that you're busy, so we won't keep you long. What's your big things for today? What are you looking out for? South Carolina's coming off a big win against Tennessee. What are you anticipating today?
Yeah, I think the key for Clemson today is really simple. I think it's take care of the football. I think Clemson is better than South Carolina on both lines of scrimmage. When you look at the numbers and you see the success Clemson has had running the football, averaging, about 5 yards, almost 5 yards carry, 4.5, somewhere in that range for the season. South Carolina giving up about that much per carry. And then you flip it on the other way around. Clemson obviously good at stopping the run. It's always one of their strengths. South Carolina isn't very good at running the football. Now they could get a boost today with one of their running backs coming back. We're going to find out here in a little bit. But so I think that's the key. And Clemson, of course, puts great pressure on the quarterback with their defensive front. South Carolina, they're known for giving up sacks, and I don't think they're going to have as much time as they did against Tennessee last week to throw the football. That's what was a surprising thing more than anything last week in that Tennessee game was just how much time Spencer Rattler had. You can't let him have that much time. I don't think Clemson's going to do that. I think they're going to bring a lot of pressure. Even if they don't get it with their front four, they'll bring them linebackers, and they'll try to get pressure up the middle and make things as uncomfortable as possible for Rattler.
So, Will, I got to ask you this. Is there any nervousness seeing what South Carolina did last week against Tennessee for Clemson right now?
I don't think for Clemson, maybe for Clemson fans. They're a little nervous. I don't think Clemson is. I think Clemson's always been about them. It's about how they play. And when you look across the board from a talent standpoint, Clemson's loaded all the way across, with 4 or 5 star guys. And South Carolina just isn't there yet. I think Beamer's building the program, and he's trying to get them where Clemson and Georgia are at consistently in the recruiting trail. And I just think when you look at the numbers, if Clemson plays well, they should win the game. But it really just comes down to what they do more so than South Carolina. So I don't think they're nervous. I think probably, if anything, Carolina's playing the way they did probably was a good wake-up call. Not that they needed it, because Clemson really values the importance of this rivalry. But a good wake-up call, I think, in that sense, because it did show, hey, look, these guys are capable of scoring points if we don't do our job.
Well, look, Will, I hate to cut this short, buddy, but it's really difficult to hear you, with Drake blaring in the background. But look, we're going to reconnect with you. We got a lot of football season still left. But tell everybody where they can catch all your stuff. I'm assuming you guys, you're there now, but tell everybody where they can catch all your stuff.
Yeah, they can catch me obviously on Twitter at SteelerWill. And then, of course, I'll be up live update from the game there. But I work for Clemson SI. That's all Clemson website. I cover the Tigers there for them as well. So you can catch my work there as well as the rest of our team. And then obviously every Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I believe in Clemson football with DeLeone Kirkland, co-host there with him. You can always catch us up, and we're always talking about something, whether it's football or something else going on in life. So it's always fun.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much. We'll reconnect really soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Will Vandervort. Got Drake blaring in the background, dog.
Why would they put? Why do they put the press box next to the goddamn speaker? Like, who built that?
I don't know. But listen, all I know is, okay, DJ and Clemson and their offense is going to be in the end zone like Drake hitting that hotline bling. Okay.
If they go over 28 points, I'd be shocked.
Okay. Well, listen, white chocolate. When we got Jenna? Is Jenna coming up? White chocolate? Is that what we got going up?
Jenna is coming up.
We're a little late, but listen, I might make a little bit of a change. She told me she was going to be wearing a Miller Lite sweater, and I promise you, if she is, I'm making it audible.
Do you have one?
Kill at the line. We're going to smash some Miller Lights here today, but she's not. She's making a fantastic drink. Regardless, white chocolate. We got Jenna Duddleston now. I mean, are you okay with that nickname, white chocolate?
I've had worse. Let's just leave it at that. I've had significantly worse, but I'm excited to talk to Jenna. I've got some fun tidbits from Blackout Wednesday that I'm sure she'd love to hear.
All right, let's go. All right, let's talk about our good friends over at State Farm. Our good friend Carol Falls. We return in 45 seconds. Jenna Duddleston next. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Why is Miller Lite the finest Pilsner on the planet? Look at her. She looks so great. Look at this sweater. Look at her. Jenna, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm about to smash me a Miller Lite. Miller, at this point, you got to pay me money. I mean, it's getting ridiculous.
I'm still waiting for it. They used a photo of me on their Instagram account, and I'm still waiting for that check. So I'm kidding, but they did use a photo of me on their Instagram account. But
I'm kidding, but really, I'm not. Miller,
but really, I'm not. But no, seriously.
All right. Well, listen. What's been going on? We hadn't talked. Well, we talked last week.
Yeah,
we talked last week. Yeah.
Yes.
Just feels so long.
The holidays, I really this week I feel like people work, you don't work. Do you answer the email? Do you respond back to the text? I don't really know. Like, everyone's still trying to figure it out. I think we're all just like a little off because of the turkey, the Blackout Wednesday, traveling, the holidays, and it's fine. Oh, Joe, you did, didn't you? You did.
I did what?
You did blackout.
Oh, I didn't black out, but Blake, are you familiar with Blackout Wednesday before we?
I am not.
So you explain. You're the bartender. Explain.
So it's an annual holiday. Obviously, everyone is off that Thursday of Thanksgiving. So everyone goes out Wednesday night, and it is the one time of year where everyone tends to go back home, and you all get blackout, and you do really booga-da-foo, inappropriate shit with people from your hometown that you probably don't need to be doing.
Oh, so a normal Wednesday for me.
A normal Wednesday for you, a blackout Wednesday for the rest of America.
So we never really called it blackout. I never heard the phrase, but that's
Really?
normally what happened. I mean, Wednesday night. So they made fun of me because we had obviously Megan's family and my family, Italians and Germans, and it's like you got Italians and Germans coming together. It's really crazy. And somebody made a World War II reference with Germany and Italy, and it wasn't pretty, but it was really bad here Wednesday night. I had 4 bottles of whiskey that are no longer in my house. They're empty. So
I hope you were
I
sharing
don't know
those.
what happened to them. I don't know what's going on with them, but I know that I woke up with a massive headache. That's all that I know. I don't know about, but Jenna, here's the crazy thing. I saw this on your Twitter or Instagram. Your dad was at breakfast by himself. Everybody was hungover.
So, Joe, I don't know if you saw this, but
I did.
If anyone wonders where I get my sense of humor from, it's my father. My mom asked me to do something that like anytime a mom asks you to do something, you can't say no, right? Like you do it. But what's the worst thing you could ask someone to do on Thanksgiving morning?
Wake up early.
Go to the grocery store.
Oh. No.
So my mom needed juice. Okay. I'm like, juice? You needed juice? So I have to go to the grocery store, which is the worst grocery store in my neighborhood. I'm like, I can't park in the parking lot because I'm going to have agita. I'm going to have a fucking panic attack. Sorry for my language, but like, it's so bad. People don't know what they're doing. And that was why I showed up late. That's my own reason. My other siblings, though, were all hungover. So everyone missed breakfast.
Attaway.
Listen.
He enjoyed it though. His words, no joke, were it was so peaceful. So thank you guys for not showing up. I'm like, then why did you have 4 kids? Like, why did you have all of us?
Well, and here's the thing too, Dad. Listen, Dad, if you're listening, Jenna, you can clip this. Dad, listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
You guys start breakfast at like 10 then. Okay. And then you got to do the
early
Thanksgiving dinner. Okay. Like you got to
10:30.
You can't do Thanksgiving lunch. You got to do Thanksgiving dinner. Look, we push everything back tonight because ain't no way when you get all of us together and all the cousins get together. Oh yeah. Hell no.
Yeah.
We ain't having no lunch. It just ain't going to happen.
No. It's brunch. Normally it's at 11, was at 10:30 this year. And then there are all of the appetizers that lead into the Thanksgiving meal. That's how we do it.
It's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
before we do the drink, I have a tidbit that I want to share with you guys because Blake, especially,
Ooh.
I think you're going to get a kick out of this. It's not a good one. So I partook in Blackout Wednesday, and I, like any individual, had too much to drink. And I don't remember who this person was, but it was somebody I went to high school with, having a conversation with them and somebody else, and unprompted, this kid who, again, I can't remember who it was. He just blurts out, and he's like, "You kind of look like Jeffrey Dahmer."
No,
I was just dumb. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, I'm out in public, and he immediately started apologizing. He's like, I don't know why I said that. Like, I'm really sorry that I said that. And I'm like, okay, you ruined my night, man.
It's the glasses, buddy. It's the glasses.
These were so expensive though, Blake. These are really nice glasses. I'm not.
There's no price of money that's out there that can make you, you got to change the serial killer look up.
But they're not even the same glasses. They're different glasses.
Joe, if you need to buy new glasses, which I feel like we're agreeing you do, this is not an ad. This is not an ad at all, but I Buy Direct is where I buy my glasses from. And you can get the lens, the frame, and then I have the Blu-ray tint in them.
Yeah, I got that
and they
too.
were for $60.
That's pretty good.
So I have 3 pair that I just rotate amongst, but I
used to have the really thick, ugly black frames. I can't do those anymore. I look really
is your eyesight really bad? Like you need the glasses, like you can't do contacts?
No, I have astigmatism, so like I can see, but everything's just really unfocused. Like I'm not blind. I'm just, my eyes stink. That's the reason why.
No wonder why your football takes you so bad. You can't even see the game.
Yeah.
Anywho,
I used to snap blind. Also, that's a fun fact. I used to go out in games, and it got really bad my junior and senior year.
That's the funniest joke on this show ever.
Oh God!
You're welcome. I set you up perfectly.
Joe, you're so good at that. You're just really good at just teeing everyone up on this show. Like
hey,
it's just
for myself.
Listen, I don't do podcasts with mainly I'm by myself on most of the stuff that I do.
Mhm.
I love you so much as a brother that I let you co-host with me. Okay, that is an accomplishment. Okay, I love it.
All right,
I
thanks,
love it.
Blake.
Well, listen, you don't look like Dahmer. You know
No.
how you could change that though, huh?
I'm going buzz cut. I think I should just shave it off.
No, just become a
Ooh.
cowboy.
Dude, I'm not Josh Fisher, man. I'm not.
Alrighty
I'm not.
then.
All right, listen.
Have you been watching some Yellowstone lately?
You're goddamn right. I have.
Hell
Okay,
yeah,
listen.
me too.
So you like Yellowstone?
Oh, it's my favorite show. Period.
Okay,
Yeah.
listen.
I want to be Beth
Save a
Dunn
horse,
when I
ride a
grow up.
cowboy. That's what I
Yeah.
tell everybody I ride. I don't know what it means. I have no idea what it means. I mean,
Really?
I know
You
what it means.
don't? Yeah, you do.
I
Come
mean, I
on.
know what it means.
Yeah,
But
you do.
listen, you got to wear just the cowboy hat.
I don't know if I could pull that off. I'm not
I think
Josh
you
Fisher.
can.
I'm not a pretend. I can't lean on the fact that I went to Texas. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me to pretend to be a cowboy.
I wear cowboy hats and I'm from the city. You think I give a shit?
Yeah, but Northeasterners are even more not allowed to do that.
Mm.
It's weird.
Doug
know.
raced Blake on that Brokeback Mountain ish.
Oh
Okay.
my.
Listen, Doug. You know how you know I'm not on that Brokeback Mountain stuff? Ben! Get in here! This is how I know.
Someone used a Brokeback Mountain reference at the bar on Wednesday. So this is really funny that I'm getting this like
I'm afraid to
2
know the
days within a week.
I'm afraid
So
to
am
know
I.
the context of that.
My guess is that he's gonna say something because he has been.
I think that's where he's going with this.
That's where I feel like he's going with this. I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee before we make the drink.
All right.
What's up, Ben?
No, she says hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, well, I don't know if you know Mr. Joe, huh? Yeah? You gonna tell him hello?
Hello.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, you got to see Santa Claus yesterday, right?
Yeah.
What did you ask him for?
Planet.
Okay, what kind of presents?
Pop shoulder.
A Paw Patroller? Okay, what else?
It's nice.
A slide? Yes, you
I
did
like
ask for a
slides.
slide. Okay. You want to tell him bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Bye, Ben.
Bye, Ben.
Are y'all ready to make this drink? Y'all ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Sir.
Okay.
I'm just going to let you know. And because I love you so much, Jenna, I'm going to be pounding the Miller Lite as well with this.
That's so
Pause.
thoughtful of you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this thing.
Okay. All right, guys. So we are making a peppermint white Russian. So this step is going to be optional, but again, I'm a big believer that you drink with your eyes first and let's have fun with it. Okay. So you're going to take a plate and then you're going to take some white chocolate. Okay. Speaking of Joe, and then you're going to ring it along the plate. We are doing this for the top of the glass. All right. So you just kind of want to make it a little circle. All right. Take your glass and then you're just going to ring it along. Think of like when you're getting salt on a margarita, except we're doing white chocolate and some peppermint. Okay.
See, it doesn't help that I don't have a good.
You know
I
who
have
else
like.
in the show's called White Chocolate?
Oh God.
I know. Okay. So it's going to look like that. Next, this part was so much fun, guys, because I literally got to beat the shit out of peppermints. Okay. Like, do I have an anger problem? I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, you're going to take. You're going to take some peppermints. All right. And then you're just going to dip it in. All right. The white chocolate is going to keep the peppermint in. And then you got that. All right. Beautiful. That's going to be the top of your glass. You're going to put that to the side for now. And we are going to start making it in our glass. All right. You're going to take some more white chocolate and do half of a tablespoon. Again, if you don't have like a measure.
So much
honestly,
chocolate.
I know, but like who doesn't, right? It's like a first little wake you up. And it's not as much as you think. I promise. Okay. So half a tablespoon, do that. Next, you're going to take some half and half. All right. I'm going to do 1.5 ounces. Pour it in. Beautiful. Then you're going to take Kahlua. Everyone should have this in their bar. What I love about Kahlua is if you like coffee beverages, you can just add a little bit of this in and it's great. Okay. 1.5 ounces of Kahlua. All right. Gonna get some peppermint schnapps. Now, guys, anyone who has peppermint schnapps, you do not need a lot because honestly, it could ruin the drink. So less is more always with peppermint schnapps. You're going to do an ounce and a half. So if you're eyeballing this, it's going to just be basically a splash. Now, Blake, you're going to make fun of me. I ran out of vodka last night. And didn't have time to run to the store this morning. However, I am going to call an audible.
Hell yes.
Tequila.
No, I'm going to do it with rum because there's already rum in Kahlua. Okay. But the recipe traditionally calls for vodka, just so everyone knows. Okay. So this is when you're going to do an ounce of vodka. But if you're me and you don't have it and the liquor store was not open when you woke up this morning, you will be doing rum. Alrighty then. Now, take some ice, pour it in.
How's this going to fit in that little glass that you have? What?
You'd be shocked. All right. God, it looks like a milkshake. It's wonderful. Look at that. Oh my God, it's so pretty. Okay, now
Looks thick.
it's not.
Pause.
It's. I think the best part is not seeing you guys as I make this with the commentary. All right. There we go. To the top. And then if you want to get real cute, take a candy cane. Pour that bitch in. And then, ladies and gentlemen,
yes.
a little peppermint white Russian.
That's
That's
great.
fancy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to produce that as fancy. I'm just dumping this in the. I have a coffee mug. I'm not. That's not. This is what I don't own any nice glassware. That's not happening
Jenna,
for me.
Let me ask you this. Like, if I went to the bar and asked for something like that, okay, that's like, we have had some comments and people asking, like, if they went to a bar and like ordered something like that, like, how much would it be? Like, how much would you charge for something like that? Because that's like, it's honestly been one of our biggest questions, like on the post show.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So like if I went to your bar right now and I said, hey, I want this, how much would it be? Like, just normal. I mean, say whatever you got.
No, like something like this, this would probably be like $6-7, but depending on where you go, like if you're in a really high end, like downtown Chicago, this could easily be like $15.
Yeah, in LA that would be like $17.
Yeah. Depending on where you are. But we're also like a neighborhood bar.
What'd you say, Blake?
What's not expensive in LA?
Breathing.
Well, I even feel like you got to get taxed on breathing.
Well, the amount of pollution you kind of are,
next.
but
That's next. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Last week's drink probably would be like, because you have Prosecco in it, and like that's a little bit more expensive. I would say, again, that could be anywhere from like $10 to $12. Old fashions tend to be more expensive depending on the type of bourbon that you use. Rightfully so. You know, if you're going to have a really nice bourbon, that's going to cost more money. But that's why I like to make these at home for you guys. So you don't have to spend the $10, $12 on a drink. It's like, you know, all of these things for your at-home bar you can have. And again, I always think like we all need something in our back pocket. And I think there's something really sexy about being able to like whip up a cocktail for someone. It's like a love language in a sense. So if you can whip up something for someone, you know, it's like,
especially something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah,
and by no
like
means is this is not going to be something that you like pound, 20, like you pound 20 Miller Lights. This is going to be like a really fun, maybe get the day started as Blake literally chugs a Miller Lite, because why wouldn't it? And it's just so poetic.
I'm definitely gonna steal this though, because my girlfriend like loves chocolate. So
oh my God,
I think I'm gonna try and make this for her when she's back.
You mean to tell me this man who said he's not named white chocolate literally said my girlfriend loves white chocolate? You can't get away from it, Joseph.
No, you can't. No, you can't, sir.
The thing is, I'm gonna tell her about this, and she's probably gonna actually start calling me that, because she's like thinks stuff like that's funny. She has the sense of humor that you and I do, and God damn it,
Joe. Part of me can't tell if you love. I think there's like a really small part of you that doesn't want to admit how much you love this, though.
No, I don't like this name. I don't, and I have been. Okay, so here's for context. I have had much worse nicknames. The nickname I had for a period of time in high school when I was an underclassman was Nips, and you can do a million times better than Nips. So
Were you that
it's
guy that
weird,
always
though.
had THO?
Had what?
THO.
What's that?
Titty hard on.
No, it's just because I was fat. That's the only reason why they called me that.
Wait. Pause. How is nips and fat the same thing? I don't understand.
I don't know. It was just because they were calling me that because I was fat. I was a little fat kid. But so I have been called much worse
Gym
things.
class must have been hard.
Everything was hard, Blake.
Oh, Joe.
But that's my point, is that it takes me a lot to not like a nickname, and no, I do not like this nickname.
Blake, did you have a nickname growing up? Do you have a nickname?
Daddy. Yeah, Daddy.
You know,
Is that like one of those things that like your child calls you it, or you like make people call you daddy? Because like as a woman, that's just weird.
The truth was, so the reason it stuck was I was in as a senior, okay, and this kind of just stayed with me for a little bit.
Mhm.
Is I walked up to someone I really liked, and I said, "It's your boy, Big Daddy." Well,
Oh,
and
God.
people made fun of me for calling myself that for a very long time. So
Yeah.
no, I didn't.
Did
I
this
mean,
person
usually
respond to you?
Yeah, everybody makes fun of me for calling myself that. But usually, especially in like Louisiana or in Southern culture, a lot of people just call you by your last name, right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people just call me Ruffino. I mean, honestly, my buddies never call me Blake. If they call me Blake, it's serious. Like, I'm like, oh shit, like it's really serious. So normally the nicknames are just like, last names here. I mean, our producer, Pooh Bear, okay, he's from the South. It's his last name. Zach,
His last name is Pooh Bear. I'm sorry, you're the producer.
No, his last name is Pooh or Pew, okay, and we call him Pooh Bear. Look, let's bring him up. Pooh Bear, right?
Yes. Go by my last name. Most of the time, most people call me Pew.
Yeah, it's a southern thing. People, you go by your last name. So
I have a cousin, and his nickname is Pooh Bear. So the first time my mom watched the show, she was like, "Jenna, did Kevin like tune in?" And I was like, "I don't think so. Why?" But he got his nickname Pooh Bear because when he gets really drunk, he would eat food. He looks like Pooh when he sticks his honey in the honey, and like does that. So that's how he got his nickname.
Oh my God.
That's how he got his nickname, Pooh Bear. We've got a lot of crazy nicknames in this neighborhood. We have a Pooh Bear, we have a frog, we have a spider, we have a wolf, we have a Biggs, we have a
This is the
Missile
most
Tits.
Chicago thing ever.
Muscle Tits.
No, Missile Tits.
Missile Tits.
His last name is Missitidge. He's a bigger guy. Missile Tits stuck.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. But like we do a lot of last names here too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everyone's the same name. We have like 4 Zachs. So you got to go by their last name.
Yeah, white people are so common with naming everybody like Joe. You know?
Matt's a really common one.
Like Joe.
Your name's Blake. What are you talking about?
I never said my name wasn't white. Joe.
Joe.
Uh-huh.
Joseph.
All right. Jenna, what are you getting into today as we get you out of here? What you got going on today?
What I got going on today? Gonna watch some football, and got a birthday party tonight, and Mama's off.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
We're gonna see birthday party.
No, one of my best guy friends, but it's like we've all grown up together since we were like preschool. So
I got you. Okay.
Lots of fun tonight.
Be safe. Have fun.
Always probably.
Hey, before I let you go, next week is championship Saturday.
Okay.
I need a purple and gold drink. I don't.
You had a purple drink. You had one for Taylor Swift week. That was purple, and it was sparkling.
Purple and gold drink.
Well, I also had a baby that week, and I couldn't find glue.
I know.
So I need like a purple. You know what? I don't know what I need. I'm so fearful of a game. I might just need like 1,000 old fashions. I might fly you in to just make me old fashions because that game could, Anyway, all right, sounds good. Thank you, Jenna.
Or we can celebrate with some champagne.
All right, fine with me. Because
Well, we
down
can't-
goes Georgia next week, Joe.
We can't
Down goes
premature.
Georgia.
I wouldn't prematurely celebrate though. Like I wouldn't start drinking the champagne before the game. That's going to be a bad jinx. You can't
This
do
isn't
that.
Notre Dame. Okay, we win natties here.
Okay.
Joe, it's called manifesting the outcome. You manifest
win
the
that
outcome.
easier.
I'm a big jinx guy. That's a
I
setup
am
for
too. I'm
jinxing.
so superstitious.
Eh.
Listen, I got to be honest. I'm wearing the same goddamn thing that I've worn since LSU beat Bama. Okay, I like the same exact thing. Oh, okay. Damn, this is pretty massive news. All right, Jenna. Be safe, be good, live, prosper, and well.
Awesome. You guys too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jenna.
Jenna Duddleston, always fantastic, guys. I mean, Joe, I love her to death, man. I mean, she's just so great at what she does. All right, Poop, can you bring that back up? Or Zach, can y'all bring that back up? Pete Thamel says, sources, Louisville quarterback Malik Cunningham is a game-time decision against Kentucky today. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury and didn't play last week. Joe, I got to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Louisville football this year. I know that he's really good. I mean, but they play Kentucky today. I mean, how much does that affect your game plan or your thoughts on that outcome?
This is really Louisville's really weird because they just randomly got thrown into the back end of the college football playoff rankings and was like, oh, okay, cool. That's nice that they got put in there.
Are they 7-4 or 8-3?
They're 7-4. So
Okay.
the thing that gets really interesting is that point in the end of that where he didn't play against NC State and they dogged NC State. Like that's why they got ranked, is because they dogged NC State.
That's right.
Without Malik Cunningham, and Cunningham is far and away the best player on that roster. They've got some other dudes, and I honestly, and we didn't cover this game this much because it's not as premier of a matchup as some of these other ones that we talked about today. But I still lean Louisville if he doesn't play.
Okay.
I just don't like Kentucky. They're so inconsistent.
I'm kind of with you. And you know I can be an SEC homer. I'm kind of with you.
They're so inconsistent, and like I'm tired of like assuming that they're gonna show up and play a big game. But this feels like another letdown. Louisville's got some energy to them. If they don't have Cunningham, I don't think that hurts them because the quarterback that played last week, I blanking on his name, he didn't even go over 200 yards passing. They've got a good run game,
the
good
football
defense
down their throat, dude. I mean, let me tell you something. As an offense, like I joke a lot on here. That's why I say I hadn't watched a lot of them. I was shocked that they did what they did last week, if I'm being honest. So, very quickly, like one sentence. Will Levis, he's done, right? Like, I mean, he's not a first round pick anymore. I mean, like this is over.
No, he's still maintaining the strange hype that he had at the beginning of the year. To put it in one sentence, he's on life support. NFL draft people, for some reason, are still attracted to him because he's a high character individual, and we all know what that means.
Yeah, I don't get it. All right, let's finish through the rest of these games. I want to finish, though, with Ohio State, Michigan, because I think it's the biggest game of the day. It means the most. Because I want to get to Georgia Tech. I want to get to Iron Bowl last of this SEC. Let's go LSU, Texas A&M. You said they're going to roll. I think they're going to roll. What I will say about this game, I said this last night. Pooh Bear did a Twitter Spaces, which, Joe, you need to come join those Twitter Spaces. I think you'd like it. I've watched film all week of Texas A&M, okay? And, look, it's just what I do. I don't like, I don't watch sitcoms. I love watching football. Joe, and I will say this, and it's fearful for me to say this because I think Jimbo Fisher's a shitty coach at times. Their front seven defensively is disgustingly good. They play out of position a lot, but if they ever put it together from the talent level that they have, they're going to be insanely good defensively.
Yeah.
Offensively is a different topic. I think the game could be closer in the first quarter and a half than some people probably would give you. I think LSU rolls here, though, ultimately. But, man, I'm just telling you, A&M's got dudes, buddy. They got dudes.
And to your point, defensively, they kind of notoriously have produced a lot of defensive linemen that have been moved to other positions in the NFL. So that doesn't surprise me that to your point, what you're talking about there. I will say though, there's no reason why LSU shouldn't.
I
blow them
don't
out. Unless
I
they come in
don't
hungover and they're getting too far ahead of themselves. Like that's what's going to cause them to lose. But no, there's no reason why LSU shouldn't hang 40 on them.
Still battling with the flu. Okay, we'll see. Let me ask you this. I mean, I kind of feel like it would have already been leaked a little bit if Jimbo was ever going to get fired. Okay, Jimbo's got another season, right? I mean, like, you know, I'm not going crazy. Like, you think he's going to be there another season, correct?
Yeah, because they would have done it by now. There've already been multiple lows this season. It doesn't really benefit them to wait until after two guys have been hired. And arguably one of the best guys on the market was just hired.
Unless they go after Lane.
Right, unless they do go after Lane. But the only thing that would make it just doesn't make sense, the timing. Like if they're going to fire him, they're going to do it in the middle of next season when they can be the first to do it. And it's the same thing with Scott Frost. Like they waited so long for Scott Frost because they want to be the first to do it so that they would have an edge. And they hired Rule, and we talked about that earlier. But if they're going to do it, they're going to do it so that they're the first in whatever cycle there is.
Lane would be the worst fit in Texas A&M. In my opinion.
Terrible.
Yeah, it would be terrible. Everybody talks about Brian Kelly, but when A&M's got, you know, the midnight,
yeah, he's not that.
He would make fun of them. Okay.
Oh my God. I can't take this. I didn't know this much about Texas A&M this year.
Seriously, Joe, I can't take this seriously, dude.
It's the goofiest school in the SEC, and that's saying a lot.
It's the goofiest school in the country.
I don't know why
name a goofier school besides A&M.
That's a good point. If I actually sat out and wrote out some like a list, I could probably name some. But off the top of my head, no. To your point, I don't think I can't stand the whole yell thing. And I know that like it's one of those things where you're not supposed to make fun of someone for their traditions, but I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I can't get behind it. All right, let's wrap some of these up.
Yeah,
Georgia Tech. Come on. Interesting enough, there is some sourcing behind Bill O'Brien to Georgia Tech that I think's interesting.
Really?
Yes. I was told that boosters are mad, and Pooh Bear's going to kill me for this. Boosters are mad at Georgia Tech. The small booster base that they have are extremely pissed that they have not gone tougher after Deion. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is going to be an absolute slugfest in reference to, I think Georgia's pissed. Okay. You remember a couple of seasons ago when George Pickens got in a fight with the Georgia Tech player?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
They freaking hate each other. I think Georgia rolls. I think they score over 45 points. I think Georgia Tech's going to get rolled. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. And this is like a perfect warm-up game for them. I don't see this as a circumstance, especially because it's a rival where they're looking ahead at the SEC championship game. I 1,000% agree with you. Like this is let's completely body the shit out of a team that we hate, that again, we've notoriously gotten into fights with. Oh, this is a total primer. I mean, like this is, to your point, you're nervous about the SEC championship game. If they blow the doors off of Georgia Tech, I actually would be a little worried as LSU fans because that means they're pissed and they're rolling with that momentum.
I agree. Let's see how it goes. Pooh Bear says in other news, Colorado and USF hot and heavy after Coach Deion Sanders. What's your thoughts on that? Really
I just don't understand that because I would think that if Deion's going to leave, he's going to do it for
a bigger school.
I'm going to be really disappointed if he leaves to go to one of those programs because he's got like he's resetting his clock and then he's got to wait another 3 years to go somewhere else. Like I don't want to. If he's going to go somewhere, he should wait until his sons finish, until Travis Hunter finishes, and then go to a bigger program.
I think Pooh Bear, you just became Pooh Bear's #1 friend on MySpace. I agree. I agree here. He would have to reset his clock, right? Yeah. Meaning, if he were to go to USF and he went 4-7, 4-8, whatever, it would be a massive hit. They will hire him from Jackson State, wherever it may be.
Mhm.
I do think it's interesting that look, people make fun of Georgia Tech all they want, and it's fine. Atlanta's got a shit ton of money. It's the number one engineering school in the country. I think that there's people that's pissed off. I know for an absolute fact that they've been doing things and getting facilities, like they're spending money. I think Deion would do good there, but I don't think Deion and them are going to match. I think Bill O'Brien is something that's really interesting. We'll keep our eyes on that one. All right, let's move to probably what will be the SEC, the biggest game talked about today. Some people call it the biggest rivalry in the South. It's Alabama and Auburn, the Iron Bowl. I'm really rooting for Cadillac. I really do root for Cadillac because Joe, that's like me or you, okay? And I'm gonna get to this FCS playoffs, by the way, which made me think about this.
Okay.
Your ass is grass, mister. Let me just say this, Joe. If you became the head coach of Rhode Island, how much pride would you have?
A ton. Well, it's different though because it's not like a big football school. Like,
I get it, but
I know what you mean.
You bled, sweat, cried. I mean, it's different.
Yes,
it's different. Now, would you move on from Rhode Island? Joe, we played in the FCS level. Would you move on from there? You and I both would. It's different, okay? Because listen, Cadillac has spent more time at Auburn than he hasn't. Okay?
Yeah.
So my thing is, I root for him. The problem is, they're going to get run over bad, in my opinion.
See, I thought last year, though, we all said the same thing. Like, we all said that, like, Alabama's on their way.
They're worse than last year, though. Well, but you know what? You're right. You're right.
The timing of it, though, they were dealing with injuries, and I'm blanking on JT Finley, or not JT Finley. TJ Finley.
Watch out,
difference.
Southeastern.
TJ Finley played in that game, and I don't think anyone had any expectation that they were going to keep that game close. This game, for whatever reason, is just one team could have on their seventh string quarterback and all backup offensive linemen, and this game is still going to find a way to be competitive. It is one of the few games in the country, and you talked about the best rivalry in the South. It lives up to it, and I'm hoping this isn't a blowout. I really hope not. It's a down year for Alabama. Auburn's got like this weird energy if they're getting a new head coach. It might be close.
You're going to rip me alive here. I think Alabama still has a very, very, very outside chance to make the playoff.
Honestly, I'd rather put them in it over, but we could sit here for an hour and talk
about
if
Clemson. Let's run through this. If LSU loses, if USC loses, if Clemson loses, if TCU loses. Okay, everybody says, well, Blake, that's a lot of teams to lose. You mean like LSU winning in 2007? My point is they have a very outside shot of getting there.
The thing that gets complicated, though, is if LSU loses and they have 3 losses, why would you put Alabama in over them who they beat, and there's only a difference in one loss, and that one loss is playing in the championship game?
I agree, but here's the problem. Here's the problem for that argument.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't disagree with you, because the truth is I agree with you holistically, and not just LSU. I mean, you can't put TCU you can't put, in my opinion, I don't think they'll put TCU above or below Alabama. Just my opinion. I don't think they'll do it. Mm-hmm. My problem is that they rank them higher than Clemson. Right? Like they're still trying to give them a chance. Okay? So
which will provide more competitive matchups. And I don't disagree with them doing that because I don't want Clemson in the playoff, and I don't think that they provide a competitive matchup.
Is this Notre Dame Clemson rivalry? Is this a rivalry thing?
It has nothing to do with it. I don't think that they're very good.
Are you mad that Jimbo loves Jesus so much?
No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. I can't stand the overhype that they got at the beginning of the year. They've been they're playing at like a 3-loss team level, but they've benefited from a really light schedule. And there's this weird grouping of ACC fans who keep saying that the ACC is more competitive than it is. I have had some people who've said to me that
it's more competitive than the Pac, in my opinion.
I think the top teams in the Pac are better than the top teams in the
name the top teams in the Pac.
UCLA, Utah, Oregon, and USC are all better
Utah
than
lost to Florida.
but they're all better than we're talking about compared to the ACC. They're
Yeah, but the ACC and the bottom end, Florida State would beat Utah.
I don't know about that. I don't.
Joe, I don't think people understand. Like, again, Utah's not good.
They're better than you're giving them credit for. But okay, but it's separate from
Hey,
Clemson.
I don't
Florida
know if
State.
you watched this week one. Did you see this? What Florida Billy Napier did? Bad baby. That's what they did to Utah. Billy Napier now. Group of 5 Billy.
Yes. Separate from those two teams, though. Separate from those two teams, like who are the next good teams in the ACC? NC State, Syracuse, Wake Forest.
Here's the thing. USC. Okay, I mean USC. USC has an opponent's record, okay, of 66 and 66.
Yeah.
Okay. So what of all top 10 teams, it's dead last. It's the worst. They're 10. They get to play teams like Colorado and other teams where you're right. It might be even more. I'll give you this. The pack might be just a little bit more top heavy.
I just my take is that the talent is better.
Drake May might win the Heisman.
But that's one guy. Like I think I can find a number of different
UNC, North NC State, Florida State, in my opinion. I mean, Joe, they might be battling out up top, but has Clemson played a team worse than Colorado, Cal, and Washington State, and all those teams?
Well, Washington State's not that bad, but
that 7-4 is padded stats. You know that.
That quarterback though,
Dookie State.
Cam Ward is a better quarterback than most of the quarterbacks in
Cam Ward. He came from Incarnate Word.
Yeah,
he came from Incarnate Word. FCS, stand up.
He's a fantastic player.
I'm a really good player. He's a really good player.
I see where you're coming from. The bottom, those couple bad bottom teams in the Pac-12 are really bad. But if we're talking about like the best 5 versus the other conference's best 5,
well, we can't do that though when we're looking at a body of work. We can't do that when we're looking at a body of work.
Okay.
Right? Can we do that? Because we can make the argument, Joe, or the debate. Let's stop calling it an argument. We can make the debate, well, this top team, this top team, this top team. Well, brother, let me ask you a serious question. Like Oregon played Georgia, okay, and they got blown out. If USC loses to Oregon, how top heavy are they? Like my point is I still think Clemson, I get the Notre Dame loss, still gives Georgia a tougher matchup than Oregon does.
I don't. But okay, yes, their defensive line provides them a more difficult matchup. But
exactly.
But outside of that, like there is the way that Hendon Hooker looked against Georgia. DJU is going to not even going to be able to complete a pass against
Georgia.
His
pants. Yeah, you're right. He would shit his pants. Right.
I mean, I will only concede that the ACC is maybe stronger if we include Notre Dame in there because Notre Dame has ran a train on the ACC
teams. You might as well throw their asses in there.
But they've beaten every single good ACC team this year. So that's the ironic part is that like they're not even in the conference.
So let's tie this in. What if they go out to Los Angeles and clap cheeks today?
Then my argument's completely falsified. It's completely
so that means I'm going to take Notre Dame and all right. So Pooh Bear did bring up our point from this week. He said, and I put this, Joe, this week to add to this point, and this was because of the overreaction to USC not being above LSU. USC's opponent record is 66 and 66, including Notre Dame. LSU's opponent record is 75 and 56, including Texas 4-7, which I meant Texas A&M. Everyone does say that they beat UCLA. Well, USC also played Colorado, who may be the worst team in the Power 5. Pooh Bear, can you scroll down just a minute or just a little bit on that? Here's my thing, Joe, about USC and like the pack. Stanford's 3-8, Arizona's 3-8, Arizona State's 3-8, Arizona's 4-7, Colorado's 4-7. I mean, Cal is 4-7, Colorado is 1-10. Some of those teams played and they lost. Like Arizona lost, I think Cal lost, and Colorado is going to lose today. So I mean, the bottom line is that it. Yes, they might be a little bit more top heavy, but on the bottom end of that conference, it's the worst in P5, without question.
Yeah, you're right, and it just so happens that it's getting significantly dragged down by Colorado and how goddamn terrible they are and how bad Stanford and Cal are.
That's another coaching search, Joe, that we haven't talked about. Like, yeah. I mean, I think Colorado is such a beautiful place. Like, you can make something of Colorado. Nobody wants to go there, though.
It feels that's because of a lack of willingness to commit resources, which is why a lot of guys don't want to go to programs. I think Arizona State's the better job in the Pac-12.
I agree.
There's a lot of really good recruits in Arizona.
Well, and they'll spend money if they need to. You know,
Absolutely.
They'll spend money if they need to. All right, let's wrap the show up with this. Obviously, the biggest game of the day. Obviously, you know, probably the most significant game of the year for the Big Ten's perspective. Michigan, Ohio State. I'll let you go first. Blake Corum, it was reported this morning, is back. What's your thoughts on this game?
When I broke this game down on my show, it was really hard for me to pick the right direction because it really could go either way. Like it's one of the hardest games to properly predict. However, similar to what I talked about going into the Georgia-Tennessee game, I see a lot of parallels. Really, really strong offensive line.
So you're leaning Michigan then?
One of the best offensive lines in the country. Not even just two running backs. They've got a very deep running back group besides Blake Corum, and we've seen success when they don't have Corum in the game that they're able to still run the ball. J.J. McCarthy, underrated quarterback, inconsistent and tends to piss down his leg at times, but still an underrated quarterback when they're in rhythm and things are going well. While Ohio State has improved defensively, I don't know if they're still capable of slowing down Michigan's run game. And I will always do this. And anyone who ever wants to disagree with me when I do this, I always lean the more physical team, the team with the better offensive line, and the team that can control time of possession through running the football. So that's why I lean Michigan by a slight margin.
I agree with you. I don't disagree holistically. Let me play, as one of our good friends, Daniel would say, devil's advocate. Ohio State ain't Tennessee. Okay.
You're saying that they're better than Tennessee.
Yeah, they're better than Tennessee. Okay. And so my point would be, and Michigan's not Georgia. Okay.
Right.
So I agree with you. Like, it's hard for me to argue what your point is. Why do I have a gut-wrenching feeling that Ohio State's going to win? Not gut-wrenching, but you got, like, my gut, like, my brain is telling me, like, I know what I'm saying. Okay. Like, I know what I'm saying. I'm seeing them be physical up front. I'm seeing them run the football. I'm seeing McCarthy do some kind of really good things at times. I know that Harbaugh's a good coach. Like, I know what my eyes and my brain's telling me. Why does my gut tell me Ohio State?
It's the same deal for me. So, like, that's what I'm talking about here, where it's so hard to pick because I just laid out a really good argument for Michigan. And I think, like, anyone who watches football and knows the game of football will agree with a lot of the points that I just made. But again, it's like in the back of my head, but Ohio State's probably going to win. Like, I as much as I want to, like, lean Michigan and my argument makes sense, Ohio State's probably still going to win. They're going to find a way.
I will say this, and I told you this a couple weeks ago. I know I tweeted this at you. There have been times that C.J. Stroud has struggled when he hasn't thrown the ball at Harrison Jr. There was a time in that Penn State game, which Penn State kept up with him, that he went 0 of 8 when not throwing the ball in Harrison's direction. I think if they can't get the running game going, meaning Ohio State, I would double Harrison and say, you know what, CJ, beat me.
That's kind of what Notre Dame did. You know,
that's exactly what they did.
Notre Dame purely said, all right, CJ, everyone's saying you're a Heisman guy. Go beat us. He did enough to beat them. Like, he did enough in some of those drives, but he struggled a lot. And the things that have caused problems for CJ Stroud, I've said this to death, and I don't know why people disagree with this. that offense doesn't require a lot of decision making. And
It
CJ
does
Stroud
not. It
does
really does
not.
not.
He is up there with Justin Fields and some of those other guys that aren't really good when they're asked to make decisions off of their first read. He's better than them, but he's still an Ohio State quarterback in an offense that if that first read isn't there, they tend to make really questionable decisions. So if you ask him to beat you, I think that needs to be the approach. If not, if he's just cooking, Michigan's done. Michigan's going to lose this game.
I talked to a Texans front office guy. Okay. And look, he's been responsible for Damian Pierce and others. Like if it's in the South, okay, he's getting these kids drafted. Like Stingley, Pierce. I mean, he's done a lot of good things. I asked him about CJ Stroud. Actually, I asked him about Will Levis, and then we kind of went into CJ Stroud. I was like, what in the Rudy put? I mean, this kid puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Like, you can't draft him number one. He told me that CJ is the kind of guy that when he watches him, okay, that he panics so much in the pocket when his number one target's not there. Like everybody talks about Jane Daniels not going through progressions. It's not true. CJ really does panic a lot when his number one or number two guy's not there. If you take them away, Michigan's gonna have a lot of success. In your evaluation, do you believe that his analysis on CJ is correct?
100%. When I haven't done my current season or like end of season of full evaluation on him for the 2023 draft, but my pre-draft report that I did on him was exactly that. Got all the talent in the world. He's got the perfect frame, perfect athleticism. He can operate outside the pocket. He moves really, really well. But I had a huge fat question mark surrounding that decision-making past his second read. And then on top of that, that's why I have Bryce ahead of CJ Stroud. It's because I know that Bryce is the smaller guy. Doesn't have as big of an arm, but I trust him to make the right decision. I trust him to step up when his team needs him to.
Yeah, and look, I just don't. I don't know. I want to lean Michigan with you. I just something in my heart and my gut tells me, look, listen, don't listen to what your brain's telling you. All right, let's get out of here, Joe. We got 20 minutes until kickoff, big noon kickoff or whatever they call it over there at Fox. Ohio State, Michigan. We got a lot of great games today, so we'll go have some fun. Until then. Been a good one, buddy. We got Championship Saturday next week. Not a lot of games to talk about, but Championship Saturday nonetheless. All right, we'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good night or a good day. Peace out, Girl Scouts.